My name's Rebecca and I'm the operations manager here at Excite Media.
And I'm Laura, I'm the head of SEO and copywriting.
And welcome to our final video on our WTF is SEO series. I can't believe it is all coming to an end.
So very sad.
Well, you don't seem so sad about it, but I'm sad about it.
We've been in this room for hours.
So I guess finally we're going to talk about results. How do you measure SEO? How do you know if it's working? How do you know if it's not working? And what do you do about it? So I guess straight away diving in, Laura, what are the key metrics that you look for to actually know if SEO is working? Like, what is the fundamental things? Because obviously there's a lot of things we could look at, but what are the just key ones that you really like to focus on?
I mean, I think the most important metric that you can look at is actual business impact. Are you getting more leads and more customers from your organic search efforts? I mean, that's obviously the most important one. It comes down to, your bottom line and whether that's improving with your SEO. But to give a less annoying answer, it's, are your keywords going up? Are you getting more traffic? And is that starting to convert?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, there's a lot of different tools we can use to track all of this. I guess I'll bring up just a few that we like to use. Now, we personally use Ahrefs, but obviously, whilst it's a great tool to use, Laura, and there's obviously a lot of different things we can look at. I guess firstly, it's always good to remember Ahrefs is pulling in third-party data. It's not actually tracking what's on your website. But if we are going to look for this, Laura, what should we look at on something like Ahrefs? What is good? What is not? What are the disclaimers of what we're looking at as well?
Yeah, so we'll start up the top with AI citations. So that's a really good indication of how your informational content is performing and whether, Google is trusting it and put it into AI overviews and that sort of thing. So if you can see that those are going up, that's a good indication that you're starting to become trusted and develop that topical authority that we've been banging on about. And then over on the right, we've obviously got our backlink profile, and this is going to fluctuate from time to time. You can see our URL rating is slightly down and our DR isn't down, but in the rankings below it, it is down a little bit. But we do have a few new backlinks, and maybe we've lost a few referring domains, and all of this requires a lot of nuance. So if we've lost referring domains, do those domains matter? Did we want those backlinks? Maybe we've lost some spammy domains, or maybe we've lost some really important ones. And then, looking at the DR and the UR, I didn't explain what those are. So I think we have touched on it before, but domain rating, it's not necessarily a real ranking factor, but anecdotally we do see that it has an impact on where we're showing up in the rankings. And that's basically a 0 to 100 ranking of how good your backlink profile looks in terms of your domain. And then your URL rating is sort of like the same thing for your page. So in this scenario, it is for our homepage, and that's sort of what the backlink profile is looking like there. And then obviously we've got our organic keywords and our organic traffic. Now, what's really important here is with your organic traffic on Ahrefs, this is just the traffic that Ahrefs predicts that you would get from the current organic keyword rankings that you have. So it's not necessarily a real snapshot of what your traffic looks like. It's just almost like the potential of what Ahrefs estimates you should be getting from the keywords that you're ranking for.
I think on this as well is traffic can go down for lots of reasons as well. I think a lot of people have a little bit of dip in traffic and they'll reach out and they'll be like, oh no, what's happened? It's the end of the world. But sometimes, especially if you're using a metric like Ahrefs, it's actually you losing keywords that perhaps you actually didn't want in the first place, or it's losing traffic on those keywords because it's just been reattributed. people are now using a different phrase for it as well. So it's definitely not the end of the world if you do see that dip of any kind of measure. And I think especially we're seeing across the board, a lot of people are losing a bit of traffic at the moment because of things like AI overviews. That isn't necessarily correlating directly to a loss of leads as well. So just something to keep in mind that if you do see a drop in any sense, not anything to absolutely immediately freak out. You need to dive in and actually do the research. Like, we're not worried about this one at all because our leads are still really good and flowing in really nicely from organic. So it's just something to always keep in mind, that make sure it's always contextual when you are doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that I would say about sort of what we're looking at now is we are comparing this with last month, and that is a good way to look at it to see, where we've moved within the month. But if you're really wanting to sort of measure the impact that your SEO is having, don't get too caught up in the weeds of looking month to month or week to week. Go 3 months, 6 months to a year back to when you started, and you can see that overall growth.
Absolutely. You want to see the big impact of SEO. I think any SEO agency that is promising you results immediately or within a month or two is either doing an awful lot of work in that first month or isn't actually able to promise you that. They aren't able to guarantee you that. So always make sure that people are being honest with you about the fact that SEO is a long game. It's a long-term plan and a long-term structure. And that, I know it can sound like a cop-out if you're a business owner. It's not a cop-out. It's just the way it is. This is Excite Media's results are of almost 20 years of SEO work. So it definitely has been nothing that came overnight for us either.
For sure.
Laura, anything else from something like Ahrefs that you would really kind of, be interested in looking at? Obviously here we can see organic positions absolutely climbing.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, maybe if we take a look in the organic keyword listings, it's always interesting seeing how someone else uses the tool when there's a few places together and you're used to where you do yours. So yeah, this is like a good way to get a snapshot of the keywords that you're ranking for. Obviously, you can organize it by position, so you can see which ones you're highest for or lowest for. I wouldn't recommend looking for the lowest because that's not terribly relevant. You can organize it by the change. So if you've got it set to say the last month, you can see which ones had the biggest change as well.
I want to see what went up, not what went. There we go.
Exactly. And while you're in here, you could organize it by sort of traffic and see, which keywords are Ahrefs estimates to bring in the most traffic for you. And you can also, when you're looking at these keywords, you can go over to the SERP on the right-hand side and you can see, where your competitors are above you, or if there are features that are sitting above you, and you can sort of have a play around there and sort of have a look at sort of where you're sitting in the results page, and that can often give you a lot of information about how you're traveling as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that's Ahrefs, Laura, which as we said, is a third-party tool. There's also a Google Search Console, isn't there, which I can bring up here as well. So tell us a little bit about how you would monitor performance on Google Search Console.
Yeah, so with Google Search Console, I would obviously go down to search results. And this one is really handy for seeing sort of the total clicks, the queries that are bringing in the clicks, your impressions, and then obviously your click-through rate as well. Now with your average position, sometimes we'll include that in a report and, a client will note that it's gone down. I don't find this a particularly useful metric to look at because it could mean that you brought in more and more keywords, so you're actually ranking for more keywords, but because you're a little bit lower, that's bloating out the average and it looks worse than it is.
Yeah, like even 38.1, but if you've got, 10,000 keywords, 38 is pretty damn good.
Exactly.
Obviously you will naturally pick up some very long tail keywords that probably actually have almost nothing to do with you, just due to natural attrition, which won't be as important. So never look at the overall one, but look at your individual ones down here instead.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got your impressions, and some specialists will argue that your impressions maybe aren't the most important metric, and I certainly wouldn't use them as a metric to say, look, like the work that we're doing is great because your impressions went up every month. Obviously, we know it's about the clicks and we know it's about the leads and the business impact, but impressions can give you a really good snapshot into what your visibility is looking like on Google and where you're showing up. And then obviously there's the clicks, and the clicks are the most exciting one. That's where you see where you're bringing in your traffic from.
Yep, absolutely. And then I guess finally, there's obviously Google Analytics. Now, Google Analytics is typically the source of truth. But the way that Google Analytics works really depends on how you've set up your tracking as well, of what you're focusing on. So you can see our key events and our event count. That's based on the events that we've set up for our business. But you might have a slightly different one that you want to look at. But Google Analytics 4 is an incredibly powerful tool, and we're not going to get too far into Google Analytics, but that should be your source of truth of what's actually happening on your website as well. Laura, is there anything specific for Google Analytics that you'd want to highlight in this moment?
Yeah, I really like to look at, if you go into reports and then pages and screens.
Yep. Here we can see, I really like this new feature that Google Analytics has done with, they're using AI to actually give you a brief summary of your analytics, which can be quite good as well.
Yeah, those are some really handy insights, I think, particularly for small business owners who are having a crack at it themselves.
Yeah, there's also a feature where you can actually just type in the questions as well, and GA4 will spit out some kind of an answer as well, which kind of can help you analyze your data as well. But yes, Laura, sorry, the pages and screens.
Yeah, I just really like to look at this one and sort of understand which of our pages are getting the most views, where people are coming from, what sort of conversion is looking like on those pages. And then the other sort of tab that I really like to look at is in your acquisition, and just looking at where users and traffic are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. And user acquisition is not as detailed as it used to be. You used to be able to tell exactly what device and their age and things like that, and you still can get some of that data, but with obviously all the new privacy laws coming out, that has gotten a little bit harder. But even looking at this, what we can say is organic search has a much better engagement rate than paid search, and that is the power of organic search that we do keep coming back to regularly, and then they are technically more qualified users than anything else that we have as well. One little thing that I really like is the tab where you can come here and actually do a path exploration. For myself, I really enjoy this. If you ever want to see how users are actually traveling through your website, this is a really great tool to use. I highly, highly recommend it. You can break down either the events of where they're going, what they're clicking on, and things like that. You can also break it down by actual pages as well. So you can actually watch, how do I do that? Page title and screen name. So you can actually see what pages people are going to, where they're actually finding the right answer, and then wanting to move to next. So we can see people are starting, these are the pages they're all coming to. So as you can see, most people come to this web design page before they actually come to the home page as well, which is really nice for us to know that that's where people are coming to. So once we've gone to the web design page, we can just click on it and see. So from the web design page, where did they go? So we know some people went to contact us, so they got enough information. We can see some people went to SEO. So some people wanting to go to SEO afterwards, and then they go forward and things like that. So it allows you to really see how people are actually using your website. And you can see from SEO Brisbane, some people want our free competitor analysis. Some people are ready. Some people actually want to see the team that they're going to be working with. And it allows us to decide which pages we actually really want to focus on as well. So if you're ever wanting to really get stuck into the details of some of those things, there's really powerful things that you can do on Google Analytics that allows you to play around with that. Obviously, there's a lot there, and it's easy to get very overwhelmed with data. So I always find, picking just a few metrics out that are important to you is kind of the best way to do that as well, and monitor the progress of those. But ultimately, as Laura said, it's about leads. If there's a real life business impact and you are getting either more leads or better quality leads. Some people are like, I was getting loads of leads, now I'm getting none. But if they're actually converting in the sales process as well, because they're better quality, because they, your website is more rounded on your content topic, and your brand is really strong, everything that we've talked about, you should get more qualified leads as well, not just more of them. So that's always something to keep in mind. And I think you'll find typically leads will go down, but the quality will improve first, and then you'll start getting more as well, I think is the general trajectory we usually see. Laura, are there any metrics you would look for short-term versus long-term in terms of that divvying them all up?
Yeah, I suppose impressions are a really good short-term indication of how you're starting to perform. It shows that you're becoming visible in Google and you're, getting seen for some of your key search terms. So that's a really good metric to think about short-term. Long-term, it is, what are the actual click-throughs looking like and what are the leads? And I think as you progress with SEO, you can sort of link these metrics. So if you are getting a lot of impressions, but you're not getting a lot of click-through and you think you're ranking relatively well for these terms, then maybe it is time to look at your metadata and iterate that so that you're encouraging that click-through to your website and just using the metrics to inform sort of what you do next as part of your strategy.
And next thing in that instance you might look at is engagement time on the page. And are people then going through to convert? If not, maybe you need more call to actions. Maybe the content isn't right. If your bounce rate is high, people are clicking on the page and then immediately off. Or maybe the page is relevant for that search term and things like that. So it really is just about breaking it down and thinking about it like a user. I think a lot of people can get overwhelmed with the numbers and the analytics, but the numbers and analytics are just pointing you in the right direction as well. What you'll find as well is different industries will have different click-through rate standards. They'll have different average engagement times. Someone looking for a plumber has probably got a really quick engagement time on their website, but someone who's looking for that kitchen renovation or anything like that is going to have a longer engagement time as well. And there's lots of data online that is available to you to be able to look into those things. And I guess always use this as well to revisit your strategy. That page where we're seeing where people are traveling or something, that can really inform what page we might want to choose to work on next if we're redoing or reinvigorating our content, or perhaps something that we're missing that we know we need to answer. I think just going back and regularly revisiting your strategy, it should never be consistent. If anyone's sitting there giving you a 12-month SEO plan and saying, this is what we're doing and we're sticking to it, they're not being responsive enough to their data as well. So it's important to really be fluid and responsive to the numbers and the growth that you're seeing anywhere. Anything on results that you would like to add, Laura?
No, I feel like we're quite comprehensive.
Oh, that's good. That's absolutely. Well, that pretty much concludes our series on WTF is SEO. I'd highly encourage everybody, give SEO a go yourself as well. Learn the fundamentals. It really helps when you're working with an agency if you do end up growing in that trajectory. But also it just allows you to feel a little bit more confident about the marketing of your business. And obviously, as we've talked, brand is really close to it. So it is a bigger picture than I think just the SEO component. Marketing is becoming more and more omni-channel, where you do need all aspects of the funnel filled. And SEO can be a good place to start. And hopefully we've made it so it's not so overwhelming anymore. Laura, anything to add on that?
No, I agree. Just get stuck in, give it a go. I don't know if this is bad advice. I think SEO is pretty hard to stuff up if you're following those core principles of just trying to put out unique content and genuinely help your users and represent your brand well.
I actually think that's great advice. I think it can all feel overwhelming, and there will come a time where, the opportunity cost of maybe you as a business owner investing in it is probably not a good use of your time anymore. And that's when it's the time to engage an agency, when you should be focusing on the operational aspects or, rolling out new services and products. But it can be something that we want to make accessible for people, which was the entire reason we started this. Is we wanted for people to not feel hoodwinked by SEO and all of the different acronyms and things like that, but just make it accessible for people. But it is a time investment, and there's lots that you can learn. And obviously this entire series and the entire book is very foundational. And if you ever want to get stuck into it more, I'm sure Laura and I are always open to a conversation about going into the weeds. If you have any questions or have decided that actually you're ready for the next step and you would like an agency to help you with your SEO, you can always contact us at www.excitemedia.com.au. Otherwise, we really hope you've enjoyed this series, and if you haven't picked up a copy of our book, please go do so. And we'd love to hear your feedback on it as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all so much for being a part of the series, and we hope you've loved it as much as we've enjoyed making it.